Did the LA Kings get their biggest goal of the season in a win over the weekend? Plus a preview of tonight's game in San Jose. That and more on this edition of Locked On LA Kings.
You are Locked On Kings, your daily podcast on the Los Angeles Kings. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, Kings fans, welcome to Locked On LA Kings, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks for making Locked On LA Kings your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. I'm Eddie Garcia, your host of Locked On LA Kings. I've worked in sports media for the past 30 years, also co-host of the Puck Podcast, a weekly NHL review show that's been putting out content for the last 18 years, and a passionate LA Kings fan for over 30 years. You can enjoy the NFL season with a big return on FanDuel. New customers can place a $5 bet, and you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com to get started. Well, coming up on the show, we're going to preview tonight's game for the LA Kings in San Jose. Plus, we will start a new week and inform you where the Kings are in the Pacific Division standings. But we start with game 21 of the NHL season for the Kings, Saturday afternoon matchup against the Seattle Kraken, a big early season divisional matchup against the team looking to pull even in the standings with the Kings with 2 points in LA. Kings were looking to bounce back from a frustrating 1-0 home loss to the Buffalo Sabres in their previous game. As far as the Kings lineup, a familiar one of late, third straight game with this lineup. We would have Anze Kopitar centering the top line with Adrian Kempe and Alex Turcotte. Philip Deneau centering the second line with Kevin Fiala and Trevor Moore. Quinton Byfield centering the third line with Alex Laferriere and Warren Foegele. And the fourth line centered by rookie Samuel Helenius with Trevor Moore and Tanner Jeannot serving on the wings. As for the defensive pairs, also the same over the last few games. Mikey Anderson and Vladislav Gravikov, the top pairing. Joel Edmondson and Brant Clark, the second pairing. Jacob Moverar and Jordan Spence on the third pairing. And once again, in for the injured Darcy Kemper, David Riddick in net with Eric Portillo serving as the backup. Big question going into the game for me against the Kraken. Would the Kings bounce back after getting shut out on home ice against the Sabres? Would LA finish some of their scoring opportunities against the Kraken that they didn't against the Sabres? As for the game summary in this one, Kings started strong in this one. Several shots on goal from the point with traffic in front, put Seattle on their heels early. However, no grade A opportunities for the Kings. They did have a really good shot mentality, but didn't get one into the net. And they also failed to sustain that pressure that they had early on throughout the entire period, which would be a scoreless opening period. Second period, Alex Turcotte would make a nice backdoor pass to Adrian Kempe, who was breaking in on net, and Juice, who, as he does so often, would finish the opportunity with a nice wrist shot into the net, and the Kings grabbed a 1-0 lead. Not long after that, the Kings would get a power play opportunity. The top unit would be made up of the 5 forwards, which we've seen Jim Hiller give a try to, and that unit would convert. Kevin Fiala, a nice no-look pass to Quinton Byfield, who one-timed it from a tough angle into the net, and the Kings had a 2-0 lead. Period would end with the Kings up 2-0, but not before they missed out on a golden opportunity to extend the lead. Warren Foegele and Quinton Byfield had a 2-on-0 shorthanded opportunity, but the save was made by Seattle netminder Joey Decord. Third period, David Riddick still looked strong. However, he wouldn't get the shutout. Seattle would score with the extra attacker, and the goalie pulled with 1:34 to go, but they would get no closer, and the Kings get the 2-1 victory over Seattle. As for the game stats in this one, Kings win at 2-1. Shots on goal, very even. LA with a very slight advantage, 21-20. The power play, Seattle was 0 for 3, and the Kings were 1 for 1. Face-offs favored LA 24-21. Hits were even at 24 apiece, and block shots even at 15 apiece. But again, the stat here, special teams favors the Kings 1 for 1 on the power play, while Seattle was 0 for 3. My big takeaway from the game, Kings were definitely a little better than they were in the previous game as far as finishing off some of those chances, but they still had some missed opportunities. That shorthanded 2-on-0 was certainly among them, the highlighted among them. But David Riddick continues to be very good, and the Kings won the special teams battle. As for the quote of the game, it comes from Kings forward Quinton Byfield. Talk about scoring his goal on the power play, and thanks to Kings insider Zach Dooley, kingsinsider.com, for providing this quote. It said, Quinton Byfield said, quote, I feel like at practice, we were moving the puck around a lot. And obviously against Buffalo, we had a lot of chances at it, and we were right there. Finally today, first time in a while, we've scored a power play goal, and I felt like everything was clicking. Great pass from Kev there, and we just wanted to get pucks to the net. That was our mindset there, to shoot, and it worked. End quote. So what was good from a team standpoint for the LA Kings and their win over Seattle? Well, the start of periods were very good, especially in the first and second. I thought that helped to set a tone for the Kings going forward. Now, I wish they could have sustained it a bit more, but again, good starts to the periods, especially the first and the second. Penalty kill was strong, including killing off a 5-on-4 power play late in the game when Seattle pulled their goalie and had a power play as well. So Kings did a great job killing that off. I thought a strong effort from all four lines in this one, everybody contributing. And did I mention the Kings won the special teams battle? What was not so good for the Kings from a team standpoint still could have been a little bit better in finishing off some of their opportunities. I mention the 2-on-0 shorthanded. And now, again, the goaltender made a nice save and maybe even a lucky save with the shaft of his stick. But when you have a 2-on-0, you have to finish those chances. Those are chances that do not come along often, maybe 2 or 3 times a season. And you just, those, again, you have to finish off those opportunities. And the Kings didn't. So still could be a bit better in finishing their big scoring chances. I thought the Kings were, maybe able to get away with not converting on something like that against a not great opponent. But when they step up in competition and you get a golden opportunity like that, a breakaway, a shorthanded chance, something like that, you gotta convert on those to beat the better teams in the NHL. They're not going to let you get away with missing those kinds of opportunities. Again, Kings need to sustain that shot mentality throughout the period as much as possible. Again, started great with it, but didn't sustain it throughout the period. So that's something certainly they could work on. But otherwise, a solid 2 points for the LA Kings. And yes, only 2 goals. We'd like to see a little more offense. But did the Kings score their biggest goal of the season? Well, the answer to that depends on how they move forward. But Quinton Byfield scores a game-winning goal on the power play. Let me repeat that. Quinton Byfield scores a game-winning goal on the power play. Could this be the goal? A highly skilled, important goal be the goal that gets Q and the struggling Kings power play headed in the right direction? 2 very important components for the Kings' success. One from an individual standpoint, Quinton Byfield. One from a team aspect, the power play. Q has been struggling so far this season. The power play has not been good. But again, Byfield scoring a power play goal that ends up being the game-winning goal, that's a very good sign. Now they have to build off it. It can't just be a one-and-done situation, but maybe that's the goal that gets Q going. Maybe that's the goal that gets the power play to be just okay. I'm not asking for, I'm not trying to suggest this goal is going to turn things completely around. That's probably asking for a bit much. But again, to get these 2 very important parts of the Kings, one an individual, one a team aspect, moving in the right direction, hopefully, fingers crossed, toes crossed, that goal, important goal, game-winning goal, power play goal from a player who needed a big goal, hopefully that can be maybe a huge goal for the LA Kings this season. But they got to build off it. Can't just be something that happens every once in a while. Up next, we'll look more at some individual players for the Kings in their win over Seattle. We'll do that next here on Locked On LA Kings, your team every day. Get ready to tackle the NFL season with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets when you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of a game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. The Chargers are hosting the Ravens tonight on Monday Night Football. I'll be at that game. LA is a 2.5-point home underdog. Over-under on that game is 50.5. Just visit FanDuel.com and join today, and you could place a wager on that game if you'd like. You get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NFL. All right, let's get into some individual players for the Kings and their win over the Kraken. And we start with the goaltender, David Rittich. Stopped 19 of 20 shots against Seattle. Has been great lately. Solid games against Detroit and Buffalo and now Seattle. He has not allowed a 5-on-5 goal in his last 3 starts. He's allowed a power play goal against, and 2 goals have been scored late in the game with the goalie pulled for the extra attacker. But other than that, no goals allowed for David Rittich. Big Save Dave has been just that for the Kings when they've needed him most, filling in again for the injured Darcy Kemper. Rittich now 7-5 on the season. He lowered his goals against average to 2.24 and raised his save percentage to .901. David Rittich getting it done, thankfully, for the LA Kings when they've needed him most. Talked about him already. Quinton Byfield, again, yes, it has been a slow start for Q. Yes, there are a lot of expectations on him. But again, coming through with a big goal in a big moment, a highly skilled goal, a nice one-timer into the net, game-winning goal, and a power play goal. That's the kind of thing we need more often from Quinton Byfield. Kevin Fiala, did we get good Kevin or bad Kevin? We got good Kevin. Now, he did not take a penalty. He did not have any forced passes or bad turnovers. He got the primary assist on that game-winning goal, freezing the defense by showing he was ready to fire a shot from a fairly dangerous area, then makes the no-look pass right on the tape of Quinton Byfield. Those power play goals, sometimes the timing, if it's just a little off, then that could be the difference from a defenseman reaching over and getting a stick in a shooting lane, or the goaltender just getting over to get a piece of the shot. Sometimes those things have to be perfect in timing. That was the no-look pass right where it had to be, and Byfield putting it right where it needed to be. Great assist from Fiala. He now has 13 points on the season. I've talked about how important it is for the Kings for Q and Kevin to be going, and they team up on a huge goal, and the result is favorable for the LA Kings. Alex Turcotte had a great assist on that first goal, the Adrian Kempe goal. Really nice backdoor pass. Another strong game from the young King. Numbers aren't going to blow you away at this point. 1 goal, 5 assists. But he always brings the energy and has that tenacity and makes things happen with that top line. Chipping in here and there with some more points would be great. And maybe he'll get that more of an opportunity if he stays healthy and gets to be on that top line. But I really like what Alex Turcotte is doing since he's been inserted on that top line. I like what he's done all season, but I think in particular on the top line. Speaking of the top line, Adrian Kempe scoring his team-leading 10th goal of the season, now has 19 points on the year. He now has 5 goals in his last 6 games. Great to see Juice heating up. He is the Kings' best finisher. I'd actually like to see LA try and set him up more, particularly on the power play. But again, a hot Adrian Kempe is a very good thing for the LA Kings. Brandt Clarke did not have a point in the win over Seattle, but he had a chance to do something unique. And I thought this was really cool, and it's not something you see often. But Adrian Kempe took a rare penalty and was in the box. And of course, Kempe and Kopitar are that top unit when it comes to killing penalties. So Jim Hiller decided to do something a little different. He put Brandt Clarke out to kill a penalty as a forward. Very rare to see that. We've heard, we were told Jim Hiller's a guy who doesn't mind thinking outside the box on occasion, and certainly did it in that situation. I thought smartly, using a skilled player in a different way, but it made a lot of sense once you thought about it. Obviously, Clarke has the defensive skills when he's killing a penalty, but he's also an offensive defenseman. So if something happens, if an opportunity arises and you need somebody like him to carry the puck up the ice, he's going to be very comfortable in doing that. So we've seen Jim Hiller use the 5 forwards on the power play. We've now seen this situation where Brandt Clarke, a defenseman, is killing penalties as a forward. I love it. And I thought it was something also that, things like that also kind of maybe keep players a little more engaged when they know they're going to get some unique opportunities perhaps in a game. So I thought that was, again, outside the box thinking for Jim Hiller. And I thought it was pretty cool. Mikey Anderson and Vladislav Gavrikov. The Kings' top pairing on defense continues to eat up minutes and shut down opponents. They are both on the penalty kill, and they both even chipped in a little bit offensively as well. Of course, trying to fill the void left by the injury to Kings' future Hall of Fame defenseman Drew Doughty. I think Gavrikov in particular, playing on his offside, certainly a much different player than Drew, and a different feel to that top pairing, but doing a great job. And it's certainly worth pointing out, Vladislav Gavrikov is in a contract year. He's an unrestricted free agent at the end of the season. And if he continues to play like this, he is putting himself in a very good position to get a nice payday, whether it's in Los Angeles, hopefully, or somewhere else. We've talked about it going into the season as far as the couple of UFAs that the Kings have. But the Kings do not usually negotiate during the season. And of course, depending on how the season goes, now, if something drastic happens and the Kings fall out of a playoff spot and it looks like they're not going to make the playoffs, Gavrikov could be a nice piece to move to a contending team. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think the Kings are going to fall out of contention for a playoff spot, and I don't think the Kings are going to move him. But it certainly will be very easy or very interesting to see how the Kings handle this. If Gavrikov, again, continues to play the way he's playing, it's going to make himself very attractive, and that's going to hack up the price for the Kings to try and retain him. So, but for now, he's an LA King, and he's doing a very, very good job. Plus 12 on the season for Vladislav Gavrikov. Mikey Anderson is a plus 10, and keep in mind, these are the two Kings leading players as far as time on ice. Gavrikov's averaging 23 minutes and 21 seconds, and Anderson 20 minutes and 49 seconds. So for those two guys eating up all that ice time and being, double-digit positive in a plus-minus, obviously very, very good for Vladislav Gavrikov and Mikey Anderson. We still need to give out our 3 stars of the game, plus check in on the very competitive Pacific Division standings, and even give you a quick rain report. All that next here on Locked On LA Kings, your team every day. PrizePicks is America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with over 5 million active members. It is the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. All you do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. Just go to the PrizePicks app and you could be a winner, and you could win up to 100 times your money on PrizePicks with as little as 4 correct picks. We have Monday Night Football tonight. Chargers hosting the Ravens. Did I mention I'll be at that game? Will Baltimore running back Derrick Henry have more or less than a half touchdown? Will Chargers quarterback Justin Herbert have more or less than a touchdown and a half? Those are actual picks you can make right now. PrizePicks is the best way to get in on the action in most states, including California. Download the PrizePick app today and use the code LOCKEDONNHL, and you can get $50 instantly when you play $5. That's code LOCKEDONNHL on PrizePicks to get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even have to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. PrizePicks, run your game. My favorite part of doing a show after a Kings victory is the 3 stars, because it means that they won. Our 3 stars of the game in the win over Seattle. Our number 3 star is Anze Kopitar. 2 assists in the win over the Kraken. Leads the team with 18 assists on the season and 23 points. And when Kopi puts up some stats, that means you check where he is all time, because he's that great. He broke a tie with Hall of Famer Phil Housley and now sits alone, 43rd all-time in points in NHL history. And with those 2 assists, he's now 2 away from Hall of Famer Pierre Turgeon for 34th place on the NHL's all-time assist list. David Riddick is our number 2 star for the LA Kings. Another very solid performance for him, and another near miss on a shutout for Big Save Dave. But the number 1 star for me, and I will admit it's a little bit of hoping that that goal can be more than just a goal, and that is Quinton Byfield with the power play game-winning goal against the Seattle Kraken. Kings are back in action tonight. A quick trip up to San Jose, another Pacific Division matchup against the Sharks. This is the third of 4 meetings between the two teams. LA won the first meeting 3-2, lost the second meeting in San Jose 4-2. Kings check in with an 11-7-3 record, third in the Pacific Division, sixth in the Western Conference, 11th in the NHL with 25 points in 21 games. Kings are 5-5-2 on the road this season. San Jose enters the matchup with a 6-12-5 record. They're 8th in the Pacific Division out of 8 teams, 15th in the Western Conference out of 16 teams, and 30th in the NHL with 17 points in 23 games. They are 5-4-2 at home this season. Kings are led by Anze Kopitar with 23 points, Adrian Kempe, the team leading goal scorer, with 10. Kempe also has 19 points in the season. Sharks are led by their leading point producer and goal scorer, Mikael Granlund. He has 24 points and 9 goals. Former King Tyler Toffoli also 9 goals on the season. And the Kings are going to get their first look at the number 1 overall pick in this past year's NHL draft. That is forward Macklin Celebrini. He missed 14 games and both of the matchups against the Kings earlier this year with a lower body injury, but he's back. He's healthy, and he is an exciting young player that the Kings will have to definitely keep an eye on. In net, I expect David Riddick to be in there for the Kings with his 5th straight start for the injured Darcy Kemper. Record of 7-5, save percentage of .901, and a goals against average of 2.24. On the other end of the ice, we're expecting to see veteran Mackenzie Blackwood. He is 4-7-3 on the year, .909 save percentage, and a 3.07 goals against average. Now, there is a possibility we could see recently called up Shark of the future, Yaroslav Askarov. He was picked up by the team in a big trade from Nashville over the summer. He's played in 1 game since the Sharks called him up, considered the goalie of the future for San Jose and one of the top goalie prospects in all of the NHL. So we'll keep an eye if maybe he gets a start against the LA Kings. Check in the matchup by the numbers. Kings check in 17th in the NHL in scoring goals per game at 3 per game, exactly 3. Sharks are 28th in the league, averaging 2.43 goals per game. Kings are 9th in the NHL in allowing goals per game at 2.67. San Jose 28th in the league, allowing 3.43 goals per game. Kings are 28th in the league on the power play, 15.6%. The Sharks are 26th in the NHL with a man advantage, 16.4%. LA 13th in the NHL on the penalty kill, 80.8%. San Jose 10th in the NHL on the PK, 81.8%. My big question going into this game, will LA take what they have done in the last 3 games at home and translate that on the road, namely strong defense and strong goaltending? Another big opportunity for 2 points here against a lesser opponent, and the Kings need to take advantage of those opportunities. Face-off set for 7:30 p.m. LA time. It'll be broadcast on the FanDuel Sports Network, and you can listen to the game on the 710 ESPN app. Let's take a quick look at the Pacific Division standings as we start a new week. The Vegas Golden Knights are still in first place, as they've been most of the year. 13-6-2, the overall record for 28 points. They were 2-1 over the past week. They beat Ottawa and Montreal and lost to Toronto. The Calgary Flames, the surprising Calgary Flames, are in second place with a 12-6-3 record for 27 points. They went 3-0 over the past week. Shootout wins over the Islanders and Wild, and a big win over the Rangers. Your Kings are in third place entering the week, 11-7-3 for 25 points, 1-1 over the past week. Beat Seattle, lost to Buffalo. Oilers are at 24 points, right behind the Kings, 11-9-2 the record. They were 2-1 over the past week. They beat the Rangers, and Senators lost to the Wild. Canucks are in fifth place in the Pacific. They are 10-6-3. They have 23 points, 1-1 over the past week. Beat Ottawa, lost to the Rangers. Kraken check in at 10-10-1 for 21 points. They went 1-1 this week. Beat Nashville, lost to LA. Ducks are 8-8-3 for 19 points. They were 2-0-1 over the past week. They beat Dallas and Chicago, lost in overtime to Buffalo. Sharks are in last place in the Pacific, 6-12-5, 17 points, 1-2-1 over the past week. They lost in a shootout to St. Louis, lost to Dallas and Buffalo, but beat Detroit. Every Pacific Division team this past week was either 500 or better, except for San Jose. It is a very, very tight, competitive Pacific Division. You look at the top 5 teams, Vegas, Calgary, LA, Edmonton, and Vancouver, and they are all separated by a total of 5 points. So any significant winning streak or any significant losing streak can really affect your position in the standings in the Pacific Division. Let's close it out with a quick rain report. On Saturday, the Kings AHL affiliate picked up a win in San Diego over the Gulls 4-1. Rain got first period goals from Samuel Fogimo, his 7th, and Jack Studnicka, his 4th, and third period goals from Jeff Malott, his 2nd, and Charles Udon, his 6th. Eric Portillo, who got sent down specifically to play in this game, picked up the win, stopping 33 of 34 shots. Ontario currently 8-7 on the season. This week they'll play Friday at home against the Texas Stars, and then Saturday in Bakersfield against the Condors. That'll do it for today's show for you everydayers, those of you that listen and watch Locked On LA Kings every day. Coming up on Tuesday's show, obviously, we'll recap the Kings-Sharks game. Wednesday, preview a big Kings-Jets matchup. Thursday on Thanksgiving, my favorite holiday, we're going to recap and see how the Kings did against the top team in the NHL and preview Friday's Kings-Ducks game as well. And, of course, on Friday, we'll recap that game and have another Kings fan feedback show. If you want to take part and get an email in for the feedback show or send an email for any other reason, lockedoneddie@gmail.com is the address you need to send that to, EDDIE. You're always welcome to post your thoughts if you're watching on YouTube in the comments section as well. We'd love for you to stay connected with the show on social media, X, Twitter, and Instagram. We are at Locked On LA Kings. I'm Eddie Garcia. Thank you, as always, for listening and watching this episode of Locked On LA Kings, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Have a great rest of your day. We'll talk to you on Tuesday. And as always, go Kings go.